Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing,
And I'm Chloe Stebbing.
and we are the weekly rundown of what we're watching, which might become what you're watching. And we come at you every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on stevestebbing.ca. And we're doing things different this week. Chloe's back. It's
I'm back
You're
from
back.
the dead.
Yeah, you're back and alive after taking some weeks off, rejuvenated for 2025. But before we can really get rolling on 2025, we should run down what 2024 was. And I mean, it's now been my first full year doing the video podcast thing. We're closing in on a full year of you being on this show as a co-host. So that's a new thing. We did VIF together, your first year, my ninth year. And movies from that festival will appear on this top 10 episode that we're doing right here. I just thought before we get into the top 10 that I have a few. I don't know if you have any, but I have a few like that didn't make it quite into the top 10, but that I wanted to give like a kind of acknowledgement to. Because sadly, two of the best animated films this year did not make it into my top 10, and that'd be The Wild Robot and Flow. Um, I adore Flo. I think Flo is incredible. I'm super pumped that Flo got a Golden Globe for Best Animated because I think that gives more weight to the thought that it will win an Oscar, which is like
Mhm.
makes it like the little film that could, you know. So I
Yeah.
think that's really really cool. Andrea Arnold's Bird, which I saw at that VIF, that was in my honorary mentions. Late Night with the Devil didn't make my top 10. Heretic and Strange Darling, all just like phenomenal genre pieces. Love Lies Bleeding. Dune Part 2 isn't in my top 10, and I know my buddy Bill's going to be real pissy about that one. Monkey Man's not in my top 10, but a must see for 2024. And Queer, a film that I just saw about a week ago that I haven't yet brought to the podcast, and I'll talk about it more later. Later episode, but really, really enjoyed that one. Luca Guadagnino's second film of the year, but I don't know. I see a lot of like cynical comments saying that 2024 wasn't a great year for film, but I really beg to differ. Did you have any on your that didn't make that cusp of 10 that you wanted to give a shout out to?
So the ones that I really, really enjoyed but didn't make it into my top 10 are Cuckoo,
Yeah.
Conclave, Long Legs,
Oh,
and
yep.
Late Night with the Devil.
Uh,
Loved all these films, but there was just things that stacked a little bit higher for
yeah.
me.
Yeah, I get it. And I mean, you brought up Long Legs, so let's just get right into that's my number 10 film of 2024. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage. Um just he never half-asses it. Like he's always going to bring it full, and I think he's just it's pedal to the metal, this movie, the character of Longlegs and the makeup and just the sinister atmosphere of it, of his character. Micah Monroe is fucking incredible. Just such a genre piece of an actress. I really, really love her. I mean, of course, It Follows, but the lesser known The Watcher, just phenomenal. I think Chloe Akano made that movie. It was just really, really good. But we also got to check out the Q&A with Osgood Perkins, who is a horror director that I'm excited to see projects from. Like there's the trailer out now for The Monkey, which comes out in February, like merely like a month and a half away at this point. And I just love this dude's work. And
Yeah,
Long
and
Legs is brilliant.
yeah, like I said in a previous episode, I think I said this. I know that I said this, but I don't remember if it was him. Um, that I believe he is making the film adaptation of the Stephen King novel, The Long Mile. I believe.
Yes. Yeah. The Long Walk.
The Long Walk,
The
yeah.
Long Walk, yes, which was the Richard Bachman story of kids on a long walk, and if they stop, they get killed by a carbine rifle. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a crazy story. I can't believe they're actually making this film. David Johnson from Alien Romulus is going to be in it. I forget who
Okay.
else is. I think Cooper Hoffman is going to be in it too. Yeah, it looks interesting. But yeah, Longlegs is my number 10. Chloe, what's your number 10 film of 2024?
My number 10 is Strange Darling. I had to keep this film on the list. It's weird to say this about a horror film, but it's a beautiful film, like visually. Like the neons, I can't get over the twist of like Kyle Gallner actually being the victim. I'm gonna say this because it's the
Yeah,
new
it's
year,
fine.
guys. Come on. Um, and I like just everything about this film just drew me in more. There was never a point in this film where I was like, that's an odd choice. Like, why the hell would they do that? That's a dumb decision, which is a big thing and a big problem in horror and thriller movies. Is like, why the fuck would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
But that was never something that phased me in this film, and I think that's rare. And I can't get over this movie, so I had
Mm-hmm.
to make sacrifices to put it on the list.
And a star maker for Willa Fitzgerald. Um, she is fucking phenomenal in this film. So good. And yeah, Giovanni Ribisi shooting this film and his debut as a feature film cinematography.
Yeah,
Yeah, a really good film, and like $10 at Walmart for the
really.
Blu-ray. For the Blu-rays, $10.
Okay,
Like,
well, I might pick that up then because I am
come
starting
on.
my mini collection.
There
So
we go. That a girl. It's you have to. You have to. Speaking of which, I got 7 on 4K sent to me by Warner.
nice.
I don't know if you got that email. Um,
I did get the email. Yeah.
it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it. All right, number 9. And I guess it's a great time to bring this film up because it just did very well at the Golden Globes. It's Brady Corbet's The Brutalist with Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce. And I mean, the length of this film looks punishing right away because it's 3.5 hours long. And it's really kind of broken up into 2 major halves of the film with an intermission in between. It's like a traditional ass movie, and it feels like an epic in that sense, like Once Upon a Time in America or like the Godfather. Like not. I'm not comparing it to the Godfather, but I'm comparing it to that kind of cinematic experience. Like I don't want to go too grandiose with this kind of thought here, but uh, Adrian Brody is incredible. He plays a survivor of the Holocaust that emigrates to the U.S. and his by a rich benefactor, his skills as an architect are put to use. And this is, I mean, the movie's called The Brutalist, so it's not a soft story whatsoever. It is harsh. It is it sometimes just a little much, but emotionally, but just an incredible film, and shot in VistaVision, which is like premium ass widescreen.
Okay.
And Yeah, Brady Corbet made a hell of a film that even in this acceptance speech, he said that people didn't want to distribute it and everything. And no one wanted to take a chance in a 3.5 hour epic. And I'm glad somebody did. It was A24 that did. And it freaking worked out. So great film. Great film. So that's my number 9, The Brutalist. Chloe.
My number 9 is The Devil's Bath.
Oh, yes.
Um, colonial horror, colonial anything, and I'm pretty much there. Um, the the emotional work that was put into this film is pretty mind blowing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like the layers of like what's going on, and a lot of it is visually. It's visually told. Like not a lot of things are blatantly said to you. It's like you have to analyze
Mm-hmm.
what's happening instead of what's being said, especially because it's in German.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's German
Yeah,
or like archaic German or something.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I I had a lot of emotions kind of watching this one, simply because I related to Agnes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like trying to fit into this very specific role that you really want to fit into and society expects you to fit into, and you can't, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know why you can't. And as an autistic person, like that is extremely the experience. It's, I feel like, especially partially as an autistic woman. Um, and it's not blatantly said that Agnes is autistic, but
No.
she's extremely coded that way.
Well, it's especially the queerness of her husband. Like
Exactly.
nothing is
Exactly.
said outright, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
implied.
heavily
It's
implied.
heavily implied. Yeah, yeah, I would agree
Yeah.
with that. And the thing with Severin and Fiala in their filmmaking is you're never tiptoeing into bleakness. You're just taking the plunge almost on a consistent level. And it's very quick in that film. And
Yeah.
it's vicious and it's not for the faint of heart. And ladies and gentlemen, Chloe Stepping. That's so cool that one's on your list. I think that's great. All right. Number 8 on my list, one that I caught up with over the holidays. It is uh, Pablo Pablo Larraín's biopic on Maria Callas, Maria, starring Angelina Jolie. This movie took me by surprise. It really did. Angelina Jolie has never been better. She is absolutely incredible in this film and actually does a bit of real singing in this one towards the end of the movie where Maria is definitely not up to her full potential. But this is an interesting story about that has parallels to modern times. But this is basically about Maria Callas as a kept woman. I mean, she was she was kept by her profession as an opera singer and that lifestyle and keeping healthy for that because it is so much work in the diaphragm and the stomach and everything. Like it is so much body work that I don't think a lot of people think about. And then she was like the object of obsession by Aristotle Onassis until she was basically ended up having a love affair, and then she was basically forgotten once Aristotle laid eyes on Jackie Kennedy, and then that relationship started. So it's kind of like a brutal and sad story, but Angelina Jolie is incredible, and I was surprised that she didn't win the Golden Globe. Instead, it went to the lead actress in I'm Still Here, that Brazilian movie that we ended VIF with. Um, but Maria is a fantastic film and not one that I expected to be on my top 10, to be honest. So it's a great film. Number 8.
My number 8 is a film that we saw at VIF, and it's Presence.
Yes, Ghost Story.
Yes. I'm a sucker for a ghost story. I mean, like, I watched all of the Paranormal Activity movies. I know that's like a demon or whatever, but like, I was like 8 when the first one came out.
Hmm.
Maybe even younger. Um, so I don't know. I just kind of have like a soft spot for them. And this one really subverted my expectations because I was expecting it to be a little straightforward or at least a little dull.
Hmm.
And it wasn't, even though it's like, I want to say more than half like a drama. It's
Yeah.
still extremely unnerving.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it deals with a lot of things that I didn't think it was gonna deal with at all.
A ghost film from the POV of the
Yeah,
ghost. Like that's gnarly. And Steven Soderbergh, doing some weird ass shit,
Yeah.
weird
And
stuff, and it
I love
works.
that.
It
So,
works. It
yeah.
works, and it goes big in the end. So yeah, you gotta like that. All right, number 7, and I mean this was a number 1 like early in the year, but I mean there's just so many good films that came out this year, and when I came to my final order, it just got a little brutal. It really did. But my number 7 is Luca Guadagnino's Challengers with Zendaya, Mike Faced, and Josh O'Connor. This is a fantastic trio of performances. The story itself is vibrant and electric. Um, Zendaya really comes through as a star, I think, in this film. This for me more than anything was like her arrival as an actress, that I was like, oh, I will definitely see a film with her in it. Like I feel like this was the star maker. And the pulse of this soundtrack by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, it's honestly my favorite score of the year, and it won Golden Globe for best score. So looks like at least somebody agrees with me. And yeah, it's a really, really great film, and just a hell of a final scene in third act. Just goddamn, Luca knows how to write him. He really, really knows how to write him. So yeah, that is my number 7 challengers.
My number 7 is Immaculate.
Sydney Sweeney, the Nun
Yeah.
movie.
Before this movie, I didn't really take Sydney Sweeney very seriously as an actress. I don't know why. I just kind of felt like they were casting her for the obvious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah. But after this, it completely changed my opinion. And now it makes me mad to like see people just talk about her because she has huge boobs.
Yeah.
Because it's like she's so much more than that. Like she's so much more capable than that.
Yeah.
Um, and this movie really proved that to me because horror is not easy to pull off.
No.
Like
No, it's not.
in an acting sense, in a directing sense, in a writing sense. Like I do think that it is the one of the hardest genres to get right
Mm-hmm.
and not be stupid about. Um, and this movie was fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times where I was like, "Excuse me," and I need to rewatch it. Like I love this movie so much. It's just so visceral, literally, and stomping on babies, man.
Yeah.
Or smashing babies
Smashing Babies
with
with big
rocks.
rocks. Yeah. Smashing Babies with Big Rocks. Sounds like a metal album. I just think this movie, I mean, she shepherded this film to be made. Like she produced it. This was going to get made at some point, and then funding and everything fell apart, and the production fell apart. So her and Michael Mohan like worked their asses off to get this film made. And my only gripe is that I didn't get to see this film in theaters with a big audience, because that final scene in a big audience has got to have been fun. So, yeah. All right, number 6 is, speaking of possibly fun theatrical experiences, my number 6 film of 2024 is Coralie Farragut's The Substance, which won Best Actress at the Golden Globes. Demi Moore, well deserved for her. This movie, like you brought up the word gnarly. This movie is fucking gnarly, and it's like 2.5 hours of it. It's so, like you said with Strange Darling, it is mesmerizingly beautiful to look at. There are so many mixed aesthetics that you can see a lot of inspiration of where, you know, Coralie got some of her cinematic mind from, but as well as like blending with her own style. It feels Kubrick-esque at times. It feels like David Lynch at other times. It is like trauma, like splatter horror at other times. The body horror rivals that of David Cronenberg. Like this movie is fucking wild. Margaret Qualley is incredible in this film, as well as Demi Moore's better half. you could say. And Dennis Quaid is slimy and disgusting in this film as like the sleazy producer, and this it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It goes totally gonzo in the end, and I loved every second of it. What I consider a great theater experience, and I would say that I have the next five are all great theater experiences. So it's something that they all share from here forth.
Um, my number 6 would be Abigail.
Yes.
I really like the just the theme, I guess. It's like gothic horror, vampires. I like vampires. I like them better when they glitter, but the ballerinas work too. Um, yeah, and like everybody was just giving it their all for this, and it looked like just so much fun to make, and I love it when that comes through
Mm-hmm.
for a
Mm-hmm.
film.
Yeah.
Um,
Dan
why am I
Stevens.
blanking on his name? Dan Stevens, yes, but also, am I stupid?
Angus Cloud or Giancarlo Esposito.
The
Kevin
French
Durand.
Canadian
Kevin
Kevin
Durand.
Durand.
Kevin
How?
Durand.
Okay, yeah, I was like Kevin something. I just have to remember Kevin and then Durant, the Pokemon. Um,
Perfect.
I seriously think Kevin Durant's character was my favorite, and that's really weird for me because typically I'm not a fan of like the meathead
Mm-hmm.
characters, but he just did it so well, like so unbelievably well. And of course, Dan Stevens, like you can't not love the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's impossible. If you don't, then there's something actually wrong with you. Um, and I I don't like yeah, I really really like this movie and I didn't really expect to. I kind of expected it to be a little bit of a flop, but
Mm-hmm. Because they
yeah,
give too
I was
much
blown away
away in
by it.
they give too much away in the trailer. That's my
That's
biggest.
a universal problem right now
Yeah.
is I mean maybe it's always been like that and we just didn't notice, but
They shouldn't even let you know that Abigail is a vampire.
no,
It
definitely
should just
not.
be that these guys are doing this kidnapping thing and there's something in the house going to get them.
Yeah.
Don't tell them what it is. Um, also, Melissa Barrera is great in Abigail.
Yeah.
And Catherine fucking Newton. God damn, I love her. I love her. She's welcome in any horror comedy because she's gold. Even if you don't like Lisa Frankenstein, you just have to still like Catherine Newton in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She just makes movies sometimes. It's great. And if the audience hasn't seen Freaky, watch Freaky. So good. All right. Number 5 of 2024 for me is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Another point of having incredible fun in theaters. We're lucky. I feel like we're lucky to even get this film because we're not going to get any more because audiences let this movie flop. And it's so sad. So sad because I love when George Miller toys with his world of the wasteland, and he does post-apocalypse so well. Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic in this one, but I believed that Chris Hemsworth was making a serious campaign, but for best supporting actor as his performance of Lord Dementus, a guy that has created so much hype for himself that he can't even live up to it. It's just such a complex villain, and I freaking love it. And there's sequences in this film that are just cinema, just chef's kiss. Like you'll never see anything like it. And George Miller's the guy that does it. And I love Furiosa. I think it's a great film. And I also think it got slagged because women haters. I'm going to say it. This is a Mad Max movie without Mad Max. Shut up. Shut up.
It's been a popular year for that. So.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, that's my number 5 is Furiosa Mad Max Saga.
um, my number 5 is Monkey Man.
Oh, yes. I briefly mentioned it with my honorary
Yes.
mentions, honorable mentions.
Um, Dev Patel killed it with this one.
Yeah.
And I just have to acknowledge and appreciate the work that went into this, especially like learning about the whole scene filmed on an iPhone. Like how can you not like just give it all the points for that?
Yeah.
So yeah, and like talked about this before with Strange Darling. Beautiful to look at, absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The stark reds, the culture in this
Yeah.
film is amazing, beautiful.
Culture and queer culture too. Within the culture,
Exactly,
there's
and
also
like
queer culture.
was not expecting that at
Yeah.
all. It's like this film is literally Indian John Wick. Like that's what's going on here.
Yeah. 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 Pretty
and
much.
and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. When they sent me the 4K for it, I was like, I was so pumped. I was so pumped. But yeah, I mean, Dev Patel put everything on the line for this movie. His
Yeah.
body, his money, his reputation, like everything. And I think it paid off. It paid off so well in full. Yeah. Yeah. Just loved this film. All right, number 4 for me, another holiday watch, is the new Robert Eggers film Nosferatu. Oh boy, this movie is dripping in style. It is. I mean, there's you're going to constantly think of Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the Francis Ford Coppola one, but that's just because that's kind of what this story is still. Like
Yeah,
that
it's what
that
it's
is the
invoking, yeah.
yeah, that's the basis of the story. Like that's what Murnau's like. That's just the way it is. So I think Eggers really brings his own style into it but still like homaging exactly what this character is about. Bill Skarsgård completely unrecognizable, like completely just like another human being entirely. Nicholas Hoult is really good. I really liked Lily Rose Depp in this film. I thought that this is like I talked with Zendaya in Challengers. This is the film where I feel like Lily Rose is like, holy shit. Like that's the holy shit moment for the audience. Is some of the just the wildness that she does in her performance is really really well done. The cinematography is incredible. I love the work with shadows and stuff. I watched it on a screener, and I really wished that that I had seen it in theaters for my first time. Um, but it is a definite like because it's playing in theaters right now. It's a definite theater watch and highly recommended. And it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And I've been waiting because I'm a huge Robert Eggers fan, so I was waiting for this film to come out, and I was very satiated with it. So that's my number 4.
My number 4 is A Quiet Place Day One.
Ooh, yes, yes.
Yeah. I don't even know if I need to say much about this. Like, it's possibly one of the most popular films of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Maybe I'm a normie for putting it this high on my list, but I've long awaited this movie. I love the Quiet Place franchise, really, and this movie is everything that I wanted it to be and I expected it to be. Uh, I was not let down in any regard. If
Mm.
anything, I was given more than I hoped for, especially with Frodo the cat. Um,
Yeah, that's a pretty
and
good
just
addition.
beautifully shot. I still love the design of the Death Angels. Like, I just love everything about it, and I don't need to justify it.
No. I I I I think I may even said this on our episode. Um, I think this might be my favorite in the franchise. This one is just really, really, really good. It's just
Yeah.
really good. All right. My number 3 of the year is Jason Reitman's Saturday Night. This is the telling of the 90 minutes before Saturday Night Live went on the air for this very first episode and the chaos that ensued. It's a big cast. There's so many people in this movie. It is just a massive amount of people, but it all works. It's all brilliantly cast, and it's a film that it could have been really bad because if you don't get that casting right, these are all real people that a lot of people know. Like, no, we they're like famous comedy idols now. Some of them, Dan Aykroyd, Lorne Michaels, like George Carlin. Like it's wide, it's vast, but this movie works, and like the most fun comedy, like thorough comedy of the year, in my opinion. Like, um, it's just such an entertaining thing to watch. And for me, I'm a big Saturday Night Live, like especially the original stuff. I love the original stuff. I own the first 3 seasons on DVD, and I know this pilot episode really, really well. So to see it kind of recreated and them figuring it out is so awesome. And yeah, I adored this film. So that's why it's my number 3 of the year.
My number 3 is A Different Man.
Nice.
Um, I know that Sebastian Stan won the Golden Globe for
Yes.
Best Actor because of this film, which you told me. And I think that is 1000% deserved. Just, this film was a roller coaster, and I understand why it, like, the opinions on it are so split.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like we said when we first talked about it after Fifth, it has extreme tone shifts to the point where you kind of get whiplash a little bit. But I think it works so well. Just, you never know really where this film is going to go. And the performances all around are just amazing. I mean, Adam Pearson, obviously.
Yeah.
Have to give a shout out to him.
And
Yeah,
Renette Rensby is the most frustrating.
so annoying, but in like the best way possible. I don't know. Just make up your mind on things. And like the parallels of like real life conflicting with like the stage play and
Mm-hmm.
like the dynamics around that, and just there's a lot packed into this film.
Yeah, there really is. There's a lot going on for sure. Yeah, it's solid though. And another film that has body horror out of the two of us.
Unexpected body horror, like out of complete left field.
That's awesome. All right, we're into the top 2 right now. So my number 2, and not shit, my of 2024 is Sean Baker's Anora, that what like since the festival and really leading up into December was my number 1 film of the year, but it just got bumped. But I think this is Sean Baker's most accessible film for a mainstream audience, but it still manages to be a Sean Baker film at the same time. Like, it's got sex work is involved in the movie. The main character may or may not be like likable or relatable and stuff. There's certain like qualities that make it a Sean Baker film, and it works on every level, and then it becomes like a screwball comedy, like right in the middle of the film. And I've made the comparison before, and I'm definitely not the first person to make the comparison, but it reminds me a lot of Scorsese's After Hours from the 80s. But Mikey Madison is fucking incredible in this film, and so is Yuri Borisov, that plays kind of the henchman to the antagonist in the film. And I just really, really adored this one. had such fun with it at VIF. I wish you were there for it because it played really well there, and just a really, really, really great film. Yeah, so that's my number 2.
Both my number 1 and my number 2 are heavily emotionally driven. They are simply in the spot that they are because of the emotional reaction that they drew out of me.
Right.
So my number 2 is Flow.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Best
Uh,
animated film at the Golden Globes.
and 1,000,000% deserved. Like, when you texted me that, I was so happy.
Mhm.
Like, it, I'm so glad that it got the recognition that it fucking deserved.
Mhm.
Because it is, I think, actually the most beautiful and most thought provoking and emotionally affecting animated film that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I'm only 24. I don't have like crazy experience in like the film sphere at this point in my life, but at this point, Flow is the best animated film that I have ever seen.
It's beautiful. It was beautiful. Like I remember because we watched this film together at the film festival,
Yeah.
and we clapped when the credits came on, but I don't think we could have moved really.
No,
We
I
needed,
think we sat there for like a good like 5 minutes
yeah,
just recuperating.
yeah. It hits you. It hits you hard. So definite great choice for number 2. I definitely commend that one. It was in my mentions. It's tough sometimes when you're going through the list and you're trying to figure it all out. Sometimes it's tough. It's really tough. Uh, it's a real pain. Which is actually my number 1 film of 2024. Jesse Eisenberg's directorial debut. Him and Kieran Culkin go on a trip to Warsaw, Poland, to do kind of like the Holocaust kind of trip, as well as seeing their grandmother's hometown and where she grew up, because she has recently passed away and it was something in her will. But it's like 2 cousins reconnecting. They were very close when they were younger, and then as their life, they grow apart, so they come back together. And Kieran Culkin's not doing well. He is not dealing with the death of the grandma very well, because they were very, very close. So this film is like about grief, about discovery of family, about trying to I mean, Jesse Eisenberg is like he's trying to save Kieran Culkin, but like how? It's very real in that sense. It's like, how do you save somebody? You know what I mean? What tools do you have in your toolbox to save somebody else? And I don't know. There's a lot of great depth to it. It's also really funny in a lot of really great parts. And just fantastic character work. I do think that Kieran Culkin will be a front runner for Best Supporting Actor when the Oscars roll around. He won Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful film that really knocked me on my ass. I was excited to see it. I was very much looking forward to it, and it really came through. Hence, it's my number 1.
My number 1 is Can I Get a Witness?
Beautiful.
This movie broke me emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was a wreck for days. And I held it together for Viv,
Mm-hmm.
but if I have like I held it together because of Viv, because I was seeing more things in succession. But if I had to sit and dwell on that movie, just crying all day, every day. Even thinking about it now, I'm like choking.
Yeah.
Like, this movie dealt with crazy, deep themes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the themes of sacrifice, of doing what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And death is a topic that's really hard for me, especially the acceptance of death.
Yeah.
and like knowing death is going to happen. Um, and that's all this movie is. Like that's all this movie is dealing with. It's just death in rapid succession.
Mm-hmm.
And it does make you think about like the future of society
Mm-hmm.
and what it may have to become in order to continue.
Yep.
And that's scary simply because change in itself is scary. And change is one thing that always happens.
Yeah.
And this movie really pushes that to the forefront of like just what things could be and what life could be like, and mixing in death with that is very emotionally affecting for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and if you want the direct, like immediate thoughts after the screening, just go to our VIF 2024 coverage. And
Where I'm literally weeping on camera. It's cool, guys.
it's cool. It's cool, guys. Own your emotions in 2025. Everybody own them. Own your
Yeah.
emotions, and don't be scared. Don't be afraid of them, and don't be afraid to let people look at them. That's our message to close out 2024, because that is now our complete top tens. So to close out 2024, be true to yourself.
Go cry in the streets.
Go cry in the streets right now. Just do it. But what's going to go on next week? Next week, I can finally go back to the movie theaters. It's been like nothing, or stuff I've already seen for the last I think 3 weeks now. But I get to see A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic with Timothy Chalamet. And I'm looking forward to this movie. I've been really excited about this movie for a long time. It's by James Mangold, who did Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash biopic. So in my mind, he's really good at biopics, and he also made Logan, and so carte blanche. So I'm looking forward to that one. But that brings us to the end of this episode. You can find me on X. No, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky at the Stevel Dead.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Honeybun Chloe, and I also just want to say quickly that a new season of American Dad is out, and it's on Disney Plus or Hulu, wherever the hell you are.
Nice.
And it's American Dad. It's better than Family Guy. So
Done. You can find all of these episodes on stevestebbing.ca, or you can go to the YouTube page. Just look up Steve Stebbing or the Stevel Dead, and we're also on shiftheads.ca. You can also hear me every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Shane Hewitt and the Night Shift on Toronto's News Talk 1010 on the iHeartRadio network. So we finished our top 10. We have empty lists. We have to fill them up again. And so until next time, bye-bye.